This podcast is a continuation of our ongoing series on New York structured settlement practice. The topic of the day is structured settlement lock-ins. What are they and why in the world should you care? Well, first of all, what is a structured settlement lock-in? If you are working on a minor's case, if you are working on a death case, if you're working on any type of case where you need to know the specific benefits that are going to be paid to your client or to a specific plaintiff or claimant, and the settlement of that case is dependent upon the amount of that payment, then you should know what a lock-in is. The lock-in basically is a promise that is made to the insurance company that a particular structured settlement will be paid for on a specific day and for a specific price. What happens is the insurance company, in exchange for the guarantee that it will be purchased or the promise that it will be purchased, they actually go out and buy investments to secure that particular cash flow. The insurance company basically gets screwed if the lock-in falls through, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes it happens for a valid reason. The court doesn't approve the structured settlement, the court doesn't approve the settlement, they want to change something, the passage of time that extends beyond the lock-in period. There are a variety of different reasons. But the reality of it is insurance companies can get screwed, and locking in is a privilege for any structured settlement consultant that should be used judiciously. Sometimes I've talked to attorneys and they really don't understand what a lock-in is, but it's really important. The reason I'm doing this podcast is so that you do understand what is going on and what the consequences are. It's very important not to lock in a case unless you have a valid settlement. Having a lock-in is incredibly important, as I said, when you have a case that is a case that involves a need for court approval, whether it be a minor's case, incompetence case, or where there is a wrongful death and has to go to surrogate's court and get approval. Cases that involve the City of New York, the State of New York, any of the agencies of the State of New York, such as the New York State Liquidation Bureau in particular, create significant challenges for the structured settlement consultant to help secure benefits for claimants. And the reason is, when it comes to the City of New York, is that they have a statutory right not to have to pay for 90 days after they get all settlement documents and their packet of goodies that they need to release the case. This can wreak havoc on someone's plans because, if an I is not dotted and a T is not crossed, and it could take months and months and months, the city is well within their rights to withhold funding. They will not pre-fund structured settlements like insurance companies will. So it creates havoc. Even if you lock a case in, you might have to extend a lock-in or try to extend a lock-in, which is not always possible. So it presents its problems. The New York State Liquidation Bureau is by far the most difficult and biggest obstacle as far as an agency to getting structured settlements done, because that agency will not issue checks until approximately 6 to 9 months after they get all the documents. So if you consider a case such as a death case, or you have a case that involves a special needs trust, then the add-on time to get those particular items dealt with, or lien negotiation, you could be talking well over a year before all documents are signed and before their 9-month clock starts running. So it really, creates, a major problem. And there are different ways to deal with it, some good, some bad, but I really wish there was some way that these agencies, hopefully they are watching what I'm saying here, or listening to what I'm saying, if there was some way to pre-fund, particularly the City of New York, who I've personally had a number of experiences where inordinate delays have resulted in possibly plaintiffs losing very good interest rates. If there was a way to pre-fund the structured settlement, just like insurance companies do, it would make, I think, not only my job easier, but the people that are their brokers make their job easier as well, and facilitate the settlement of cases. One way that, that we have dealt with the uncertainty of when cases are going to be funded, where you have multiple variables, such as you're dealing with the City of New York, you're dealing with a minor's case, you're dealing with a special needs trust, as we do what is commonly referred to in the industry as a date slide, where you put language into the settlement agreement or into the order that permits an equal number of days between if it's not funded by the actual anticipated funding date, that each of the payment dates in the locked-in structure can be moved an equal number of days between the anticipated funding date and the actual funding date. That's a solution that's worked incredibly well for a number of years until fairly lately, where we're starting to see some insurance companies push back against that, particularly now that we're going into a potentially rising interest rate environment. Insurance companies don't want to be stuck with investments that are lower interest rate investments. And again, they're providing the privilege of holding the rate. Why screw them around? It just doesn't make any sense. So what we're seeing is, like I said, we're seeing the pushback. We're losing some opportunities to do that. And so what that leaves is essentially making a structured settlement a wild card, or making the process have an extra step where a settlement is approved and then further negotiations on a structured settlement. If the cases could be pre-funded, it certainly would shorten the process of time to get the cases closed, which I think would benefit those various different entities. We have nothing against, I personally have nothing against those agencies. I just think that the process could be far more efficient than it currently is. And that's really what my interest is to see if there's anything that can be done to make that process more efficient. I and other members of the Structured Settlement Committee are grateful to companies like Pacific Life and Annuity, who in September agreed to waive lock-in fees for a period of time. Whether or not that's built into their current costs or not is really irrelevant, but it makes things a lot simpler. There are other companies out there that charge really just incredible lock-in fees that make it very difficult to close deals. I don't want to mention any companies by name, but there are companies out there, they know who they are, and it makes it extremely difficult. The process should be simplified. I don't really care whether it's built in, personally, whether it's built into the price or not, but it should be transparent, but it should be built into the price so that things can be a lot simpler. And the industry needs to come up with some type of solution, and we do encourage the public entities or self-insured corporations who do have some trepidation about pre-funding structured settlements to understand that you do have a valuable, it's not just buying an annuity and doing something of benefit to the claimant, but structured settlements do benefit you. If you do have any questions about how it benefits you, contact me or contact your broker. But if you want to have access and you want to if you want to have a benefit from using a structured settlement and using it, in a way that's far more efficient, then I think you ought to seriously consider pre-funding annuities instead of relying on lock-ins or a wildcard approach, which just makes life difficult for everyone. So in conclusion, I have nothing against the City of New York, the State of New York, any agency of the State of New York, or any self-insured corporation who has some trepidation about pre-funding structured settlements. But our interest is, whether we're working for you or whoever we are working for, we want the process to be efficient. And if it's efficient for you and efficient for everyone, it means that you can close your cases faster. And I think that would benefit you. It would benefit the defendants and their representatives who are listening and watching this podcast. Thank you. I'm John Dare for Legal Broadcast Network. Have a great day.